Not sure how many of us are thinking about Christmas right now, but the capital's theatres are, because at this time of year they would normally be well underway planning their lucrative panto performances. But venues don't know yet how social distancing and audiences will work. Let's join Thomas McGill at the Brick Lane Music Hall in East London to find out more. Thomas.
Riz, welcome to this spectacular old church right in the heart of the East End. This place actually has the longest running panto season anywhere in the entire country every year. There was panto on right up until just before lockdown at the beginning of March. So panto is as much a part of Christmas as Santa Claus and, I don't know, turkey and ham on Christmas Day. It's fun, it's colourful, and of course it's everything about it is so camp. There's not many shows out there that have an array of props like these fabulous colourful wigs. But for regional theatres, it's also the biggest show that they will put on every single year. It has the best props, as I said. It often has the best sets and attracts the biggest names in the business. But on a serious note, it also attracts the biggest numbers to those regional theatres. So it's not surprising, perhaps, that there are real concerns from bosses that the best of panto could be behind them.
At this point in time, we would be deep into panto production. We would be bringing in sets and trying things out. Our costume designs would have been happened. You know, we would have probably a final draft of the script by now.
But this year is very different for bosses at the Hackney Empire. They're still planning for panto, unclear if it will go ahead.
We've been holding our breath for 4 months, wondering what a panto looks like under these circumstances.
Social distancing measures would mean scenes like this are all but a dream. Capacity would be reduced to about 25%. A financial disaster for venues like this that relies on the panto pound throughout the year.
It's almost not feasible to think about not having it. That's how important that finance is.
The government announced guidance today for theatres who want to apply for part of the £1.5 billion of support given to the industry. But for some venues, they've already decided to call time on the production this year.
I've had one show already cancelled about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and I've also heard from some of my colleagues that, and I also know 1 or 2 theatres have already decided they're not going to do pantomime this year.
Ian Hallard has been in panto for the last 6 years and says deciding not to go ahead is sensible for some venues.
It would be foolish to suddenly say, yeah, okay, go ahead, start booking your actors, publicising your show, making your costumes, building your sets, and then we have a spike in cases in October, November, and then suddenly everything gets pulled. And in a way that would be even worse because, of course, then the theatres and the production companies have spent all that money.
Everyone agrees until there is more certainty, many more may be cancelled, changing a festive tradition for thousands of families.
What is the impact on our audience and the people who come to Hackney Empire year in, year out? Generations of families who attend, and it's a linchpin of their year. It's when people come together over that festive period.
Well, Riz, this takes coming out of the closet to a whole new level. There are thousands and thousands of costumes down here, and, well, I dare not think how many sequences and colourful outfits as well, which makes this place so unique. There's pearly suits, this was all part of an Irish show that was on earlier on in the year as well. And this place is completely unique because it makes all their own costumes and wigs and everything. And the man behind it is this phenomenal guy here, Vincent Hayes. Vincent, thank you so much for inviting us down in here. First of all, let's get the serious stuff out of the way. You're quite optimistic about the future, despite having no business for the last, 4 months?
There's no business, and it's not my fault. But we're ready. We're ready to open at the drop of a hat.
Fantastic. That was the serious bit, my goodness. Let's now have some fun. Tell me about all these props then. You are unique in that sense. Other places have been telling us that they simply couldn't open if the government says, yes, go ahead, open your doors in the next week or two. But you're different from them.
Well, we're not really. It's still the same. We have to create the audience. I mean, there's only so many days I can spend rehearsing my lines. But I do need an audience, and we need to be back in touch with them, and they need to feel safe to come. But directly that they do, we'll be ready. We have the shows lined up, and we would continue with our programme as it was before the lockdown.
Fantastic. Now let's spin around and talk me through some of these amazing props here. Any idea how many wigs and shoes and outfits you actually do have here at the music hall?
Absolutely no idea, because we make them for every show.
Right.
And these are the props that are left from the last pantomime, because as you said, we close in March. And so we'd only just finished the pantomime, got into an Irish show. These costumes and wigs had not been put in store, so they're still here. But these are not the ones that will be used for our next pantomime, please God, which will be in January starting.
So you're not going to be put off by this pandemic by any stretch of the imagination?
No, we've got Robin Hood and his camp followers waiting to come out of the woods.
Right, okay. And what makes a good panto then? Because audiences, I can't believe they flock here right up until March every year.
Yes, they do, because they're part of the show. Always, pantomime and musical is about audience participation, which is why social distancing does not work. If you try to work to a socially distanced audience, it's like doing an audition. We want to do a show.
Fantastic. Well, Vincent, thank you so much for inviting us in here. Riz, obviously, I am tempted to try on one of the wigs, but there's none of them match my eye colour. But I did have to try on at least one of the props.
Thomas, not quite sure what to say to that. What a treasure trove. Let's hope that business resumes soon for all our theatres. You are a good sport.